Hello everyone, in this lesson we're going to see how we can use service in Angular to retrieve some data from a backend Java service. So far in our application we only have one service, Angular service, which is user service, and all our user related logic is usually here. Now what if we want to retrieve some albums from the backend? So let's go ahead and create an album service for that. So in the console we'll go to our application folder and we'll type ng generate service, and then we'll provide the service name. Let's call this service album service. So ng generate service album. So this will generate the album service for us. Now let's go ahead and start the application. So this will compile and run the application. And you see that it's giving an error about the user service, and let's read this error together. So it's saying that in app component.html line 20 it's giving an error, and the error is property user service is private and only accessible within class app component. So let's go ahead and open our app component, and we can see here that user service is created as private, but we are accessing it from the view. So let's remove this private. Or use the keyword public, and let's see if that helps. So since we made some change, it's recompiling it, and now it worked successfully. So now I'll open our application, and here if we go to the home, it actually opening album recent, and we want to show the albums here, and we created a service for this, which is the album service. Now let's go ahead and add some functionality in the album service. So if I open the album service, currently it doesn't have any functionality. So similar to the user service, we'll need to, in the user service, the way we added the Firebase Angular Fire auth there, because it's talking with the Firebase service, the same way in the album service we need to talk to our Java service, and the way it will communicate with this, it will use a HTTP client for that. So let's go ahead and create that dependency here. So private HTTP colon HTTP client. And it's complaining about it cannot find the name HTTP client. So for that, what we'll have to do here, we'll have to go in app module, and in the app module we'll have to import the HTTP client module, or if we so we need the HTTP client, and let's see where we can import the HTTP client for. And we can import it from here. So since our automatic import did not work, we have to manually import it. And now if we go back to, it is giving us a quick fix, so we can import it from there. So now we have HTTP client, and so the next thing we should do is we can create a method for getting all the albums. So let's add that method, get all albums. And what this method will do is it will make a HTTP get request, and now for that HTTP get request we need to provide a URL and then header, and if any parameter is there we need to provide those information. So now let's go ahead and we can provide that URL here. So the URL that we need to call for getting all the albums is this API / albums / all, and but this will be prefixed by this IP address. So it will look like this. So first this address, and then API / and after that it will be album / all / all. So we can try to make that call, but we will also need to provide the header, and then the information that will go in the header is this ID token. So let's construct the header. So let's write a method for getting the header, and let's call this get header. And when this method is called, it's going to declare a variable headers, and the variable will look like this. It will have a property called ID token. Now where do we get the value for this ID token? We need to call local storage dot get item and get the ID token from there. Let's see that we use the correct spelling for the ID token here. We can see that in user service. So we are actually saving it as something called user ID token. So let's use that. And once we constructed this header, we can just return that. Headers. And now from this get all albums method, we can get var headers equals to this dot get header, or a better name will be get headers. And then here we can actually pass that header. So that's how we can call the get method. Now what this method will return is a observable. So let's return this observable. Now currently no one is calling this method, right? So we need to call this method. So we can call this method from the album, one of the album page, which is, we can use this recent album for calling this method. So let's go inside the recent album, and currently this doesn't have any dependency, but now let's create a dependency on album service. And when this component is initialized, let's go ahead and call this dot album service dot get all albums. Now that will return as a observable, and we have previously seen how to actually talk to an observable. We need to subscribe, and we also need to tell what to do when we get the response back. So when we get the response back, we can just go ahead and print that response for now. Console.log got all album response, and here we can print that response. Now if we go to our application and if we go to the albums and if we refresh this, you'll see that got all album response. Got all album response, and this is actually showing those albums. So that's how we talk to the backend service using HTTP client to request some information from the backend. Thank you.